Hi to all viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. by 6 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. We go right away to our major story tonight. Today, Cameroon joins the rest of the world to commemorate or observe the day for the abolition of slavery, and it comes at a time when so many domestic servants are treated as lowlifes in our society. And also in this newscast in sports, Cameroon today at 8 p.m. will be taking on Brazil in a very decisive encounter. The indomitable Lions of Cameroon will need a win to move on to the next stage of this competition, and we will be taking you to Qatar to meet Vanessa. Vanessa, who is a Cameroonian artist and also an influencer who is pulling a lot of attention to himself in Qatar. Stay with us for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. We begin this news edition with these elements. Today, we told you in the headlines that Cameroon joins other countries the world over today to commemorate or observe the World Day for the abolition of slavery and slave trade. And the day comes at a time many domestic servants in Cameroon who are in houses in Douala are treated as slaves or as lowlifes. Our reporter Lucy Liengo Asia spoke with some guards and also some domestic servants here in Douala. Here is what she has to say.
Reports from the United Nations International Organization for Migration and the International Labour Organization have proven that the number of people currently enslaved in the world has grown by 10 million in the last 5 years. This constitutes of a spectrum of exploitative practices like forced labor, forced marriage, and human trafficking. In 2021, 50 million people were estimated to endure harsh conditions of modern-day slavery. Modern-day slavery now exists in Africa, like in Cameroon. Georgiana is a young girl who fled from her native land in the Dan division due to the Anglophone crisis.
So I come out Kondo Titi because of war we be dead.
She says she left Kondo Titi to Boya, but unfortunately her brother died, so she left to Douala in search of work. After a long search, she had one as a house help. Being a house help, she does laundry, she presses dresses, she cooks, she takes care of a little baby, but she is paid 30,000 francs. She realized the money is very small, but she is managing because she has no choice. Renting a house for 20,000 francs, she is left with 10,000 francs to take care of her kids who go to school. But unfortunately for her, her kids' father does not take care of them. She does everything alone.
And my pikin they go school. I get 3 pikin. Their papa they take care.
Although modern day slavery appears slightly different from historical examples, the two are interconnected. Sakwe Eston, an internally displaced person who left the Dan division to Douala in search of greener pastures, says he is still struggling to no avail.
I'm living with a family of about 12 persons in my house, and the rest that could not make it, they are still back there in the village. So we are still struggling to see how we can meet up with life, but it is not going. Because since I've been here 2017, formerly I've been strongly to do some small businesses. It cannot go. I went to indulge into this teaching activity where they pay us very meager salaries. And these meager salaries that cannot even, looking at the standard of living here and the cost of living in Douala, it does not make us to afford for any of our personal needs. We are only contented by having a square meal a day, which is not even enough. Paying of rents, paying of electricity bill, water bills, and so many other things, sicknesses are not there. For example, the first school that I thought I was paid 40,000 francs while I'm living in a house of 25,000.
These, amongst others, are some of the conditions people still live in, despite the termination of slavery and slave trade in Africa in the 1930s. The theme of this year's International Day of the Abolition of Slavery is Stories of Courage, Resistance to Slavery, and Unity against Racism.
And we continue talking about HIV and AIDS. Health experts from the Littoral Regional Delegation for Public Health and also personnel of the Regional Delegation for Secondary Education did a sensitization or awareness campaign at the government high school in Susa in the Mongo division of the Littoral region on the existence and prevention of HIV and AIDS. Let's now have more with Mala Glory.
Awareness is a preventive action to instill in young people to fight HIV/AIDS in schools. Amongst the different preventive measures, some students believe abstinence is the best. Youths these days are faced with several challenges. Some of my friends today go for money, or others. I prefer abstinence or contraceptive, but I advise my juniors to abstain. In commemoration of the World's AIDS Day, a sensitization campaign was organized by the Medical Department of the Littoral Regional Delegation of the Ministry of Secondary Education. Students and teachers of Government High School Susa were schooled on different preventive measures.
The first measure of prevention is to be informed. That's what we give them. Then secondly, we make sure that we give them the tools on how to prevent this disease. So as to enable them acquire what they call behavioral change, avoid risky behaviors. Then finally, we advise them to get tested. They have to do their free screenings.
They were equally advised to carry out their HIV test so as to prepare a better future.
So after the testing now, those who have problems, they'll be taken care of and treatment is free of charge. And those who don't have, we encourage them to continue living in a risk-free ways of acquiring the disease.
In the course of the campaign, some students voluntarily carried out their HIV screening and called on their mates to do same.
And now we take you to Bonei-Pupa. Bonei-Pupa, it is a locality in the Littoral region where the local population there are complaining of lack of social amenities. They first of all have very porous roads in Bonei-Pupa in very deplorable states, and they say they also lack potable water. Let's now have more with our staffman Innocent Aze.
Bonei-Pupa 1, a locality in the Yabase subdivision, Kam division of the Littoral region, found about 35 kilometers from the economic capital city Douala. This locality yearns for drinking water. This borehole found in the compound of the chief is the lone serving the population. Others cover a distance of 10 kilometers to get here. We are suffering. This one might soon dry off.
On va souffrir, même le forage là va tarir.
Those who are unable to fetch water from the borehole, like these students, have this stream as their lone alternative. Teachers also drink from the streams, like the students. The consequence is ill health. Away from that, the population also lack electricity supply, even with the installation of electric poles over 2 years ago. For over 2 years now, we have not had electricity supply. We do not know why. This is incomprehensible. Those concerned should make use of these resources. The electricity trouble is said to have paralyzed pedagogic activities of this school. Students here do not have the privilege to study like those in other localities in the Littoral region. We make use of a generator so that students can get ICT lessons. The dilapidated state of school structures is also deplored by the population. The Development Association of the village tries for a solution.
Les populations ici ne vivent que de l'agriculture.
Everyone here relies on agriculture. We ask them to chip in 1,000 francs each monthly to realize some projects.
Que nous puissions être ceux-là qui ont quand même un début de quelque chose avant que l'administration n'intervienne.
Feeling neglected, the population smile with hope the development light will one day shine in Bonei-Pupa 1.
And truck drivers plying the Gaundere-Garua highway have suspended their activities in that area. They are complaining that they are being harassed frequently by the forces of law and order in the north region of Cameroon. They say they are going to continue their strike action until the authorities concerned look into their plight. Let's now have more with Staffman Babila Jonathan.
Between Gaundere in the Adamawa region and Garua in the north region of Cameroon, 300 trucks stationed along the road. Over a distance of more than 10 kilometers, the drivers have parked their trucks here for more than 3 days. They are protesting against what they qualify as harassment from forces of law and order. Another problem is the presence of numerous control posts on the Douala-N'Djamena transnational highway.
Nous dénombrons 11 contrôles confondus.
This transporters trade unionist says from Gamba to Garua there are 11 mixed control posts. The bad state of some sections of the highway is also causing a lot of problems to the transporters, including accidents like this one.
Comme à Bongbang, all this side would fall. La route n'est pas bien. Avant, on faisait 4 heures de temps, Gaundere, Garua. Maintenant, on fait 15 heures de temps, 16 heures de temps. Nous dormons comment? On doit en bas des camions. Nous souffrons.
The drivers want the number of control posts reduced and control activities of the police, the gendarmerie, and the customs department scrutinized.
And now we move on to this obituary. Professor Eno Tanjong, the member of the National Communication Council and the founding father of the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Buea, will be buried today or this weekend in the Manu Division, precisely in his cherished Fortabe village. The funeral began yesterday, where the corpse was removed from the Buea Hospital mortuary and next and taken to the Onmispo Stadium in Buea for a funeral mass, which was presided over by the bishop for the Buea Diocese and attended by a cross-section of alumni of former students and present students of the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication in Buea. Let's now have more about the funeral with a staffman for me, Armstrong Sander.
From far and near and across the social board, from the 1993 to 2022, former and current students of the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, JMC of the University of Buea, stormed the Moliko Omni Sports Stadium to bid farewell to Professor Eno Tanjong, the Fortabe warrior and co-founder of JMC. Affectionately referred to as Eno, or the Pope of Journalism by his students, mourners say Eno had a good life. He was a man whose positive impact was felt everywhere he went to, as testified by Joe Chebonken Kalabopse, President of the National Communications Council, VNCC in Cameroon.
Generosity, hard work, and service to humanity surpasses his physical being. This is man who has transformed his little village for Tabi into a planetary world today.
Leading a delegation of over 20 staff members to Mount Eno in Buea, Joe Chebonken says the short time spent with Professor Eno at the NCC will never be forgotten.
We felt at the level of the National Communication Council for just a year and a half and had its impact on us. We will certainly miss him, but his life has taught us something, that the greatness of a man, when he lives, is felt when he dies. And that's why it's rare to have a celebration of this nature in a state.
Also present to celebrate the Fotabe warrior was a huge delegation from his native Fotabe village in the Manu division of the Southwest region. They say Eno did not only transform Fotabe village but did same to the lives of sons and daughters of the village. Born in 1955, Professor Eno Tanjong was an expert in communication with over 35 years experience in media and journalism education, media research and consultancy on news assessment and development communication.
Thank you, Fomi, for that report. Rest on the Pope of GMC. Go well, the man who made GMC a family. Now let's take our front page roundup with a staff lady, Immaculate Fogwe.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa risked impeachment over claims that he covered up the theft of millions of dollars in cash allegedly hidden in furniture at his farmhouse. 70-year-old Ramaphosa is accused of being involved in a scandal linked to the theft of millions of US dollars in his luxury cattle house. An independent panel said it had found sufficient evidence that the president may have violated a section of the Prevention and Combating of Corruption Activities Act and may have committed serious misconduct by exposing himself to a situation involving a conflict between his official responsibilities and his private business. Under South Africa's law, large amounts of foreign currency should not be kept by individuals without the requisite declaration or permission. Millions of dollars were allegedly stolen by thieves, but the president failed to report the incident to the relevant authorities, and he spent several months without explaining where the money came from until he told the inquiry that it was from the sale of buffaloes to a Sudanese national. He declared that $580,000 was the amount stolen from his farm in late 2019 while he was in Ethiopia attending an African Union summit. He said he reported the theft to the head of the Protection Service. He has denied all allegations levied against him, saying he never violated his presidential oath or broke the law.
And now in sports, the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon will be taking on the Brazilian national side today. That would be at 8 p.m. for a very decisive encounter. The Indomitable Lions of Cameroon need a win in that encounter or in that match to move on to the second stage of the football jamboree in Qatar. And now in Qatar, where we meet our special envoy, Smart Ndikan Gabriel. It takes us to meet Vanista. Vanista, who is a Cameroonian artist and also an influencer who is pulling a lot of attention to himself from fans across the world present in Qatar.
C'est le Cameroun que je suis venu défendre. Vous voyez comment la Serbie a été surprise.
His voice and musical instrument guitar are the only things he has to pull a mammoth crowd to himself.
La Serbie est venue avec beaucoup d'arrogance, mais on a égalisé tous les buts avec beaucoup d'élégance.
And on his neck is the green, red, yellow color of Cameroon. The Cameroonian-born talent, Vanista, is the man attracting attention on the streets in Doha, Qatar. Apart from the streets, in the metro, Vanista also pulls crowd to himself, and in every situation, Vanista will have a melody that accompanies it.
Oh yeah, Cameroun, oh yeah, allez, Cameroun, oh yeah, Cameroun, oh yeah, Cameroun, oh yeah, Cameroun, oh yeah, le Cameroun attend.
Asked if he takes time to write out his songs or he simply improvises them, Vanista said, I don't know if it's easy, but that is how I do it. Because when I sit to write it down, it takes my time, and I even forget some of the song. So I compose everything with my head.
J'ai beaucoup d'idées, je ne peux pas, quand j'écris, certaines s'échappent.
In his hotel room in Doha, Qatar, we met him singing.
Joli gars, j'ai juste envie de te dire un mot. Ton être brille, tes yeux
sent bon.
To give Equinoxe team a warm welcome to his hotel room, Vanista did what he knows best.
Alors, je vais dire un petit mot à Equinoxe TV en impro. Cette chaîne-là qui se déploie pour le Cameroun, ici au Qatar. Equinoxe est venu pour faire un reportage afin que ce que je fais soit reconnu. Merci pour ça. Equinoxe, bienvenue. Tout l'honneur est pour moi. Equinoxe, merci. Tout l'honneur.
At the World Cup in Qatar, Vanista is keeping the flag of the nation high.
Ce qui m'a motivé à faire les improvisations de cette façon, c'est parce que
what actually pushed me to do what I'm doing now is because when I arrived in Qatar, I walked in the street of Doha. I saw Senegal, Ghana, Kenya, Uganda. Then no one was talking about Cameroon, the biggest nation in Africa, that people have to know us, because Cameroon is the best in everything. So I said to myself, while the Lions are on the pitch, I will be on the streets of Qatar to make Cameroon known.
Pendant que les Lions seront au stade pour nous faire connaître, moi je serai dans les rues pour nous faire connaître.
Without any formal preparation and gifted with his talent, at any time, he is set to use his guitar to make things happen, no matter the place, even in the desert.
Je rends hommage à mes sœurs et mes frères qui sont tombés dans le désert. Ils allaient chercher le bonheur.
The message in Vanista's song shows how he too is touched by some social ills plaguing the world.
Ils sont pas arrivés à destination.
J'ai choisi de chanter sur ce thème parce que
I choose to sing about this theme because it is a very sad situation, particularly for families who have lost their members in the desert. I wanted to pay them tribute because it touches me so much, and also say big up to those who have succeeded because they are fighting for their future. But I'm warning my fellow country people that before they embark on such adventures, they should be careful because they can also make it in Cameroon.
Mais la solution n'est pas toujours de courir le risque d'aller perdre sa vie dans le désert.
Vanista is now following his call, which is music, but at the same time, he is looking up to the sky, asking for God to keep him strong in his career.
Les humains aiment, même les animaux, yamo. Parce qu'on est venu prouver ce que l'on sait faire. Manakono liga dans tous les domaines, avec le monde on croise le verre. C'était plein de frères, film Paris.
Interesting, sir. Thank you so much, Smart, for that report. The match between Cameroon and Brazil today might be tough for the Lions, but a win is possible with the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, so we wish them good luck. And viewers, thank you so much for according us your time this evening. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.
If you suspect you may have a coronavirus infection, please call your healthcare provider in advance.